Welcome back. All right. So, as I continue to look at my favorite players with teams around the National Hockey League, we are now going to discuss the Anaheim Ducks, who started as the Mighty Ducks. You may hear a jet in the background at points during this video. I am recording this during the Abbotsford Air Show. I don't think we're going to have a jet noise in the background, but you never know. We could. All right, so number 20 on the list as we get into my favorite Ducks. And you know what I've noticed too is that it's Abbotsford Air Show. I haven't been home for the Abbotsford Air Show in years, and I mean, I've been watching air shows for 40 plus years, and it's just kind of In fact, technically, it's about 50 years because I remember going to the one in Moose Jaw when I lived in Saskatchewan. All right, yes, before Chapel Rowan was singing about Saskatchewan, I lived there. All right, number 20. THG knows a current song. I absolutely do. Ryan Strome. Ryan Strome, a veteran player who has done a good job with the Anaheim Ducks while they've been going through this rebuild. And Strome has been through a number of situations where they're not necessarily winning a bunch, and I've never heard him complain. And I do talk about this with players because that is something I notice. The players who complain about losing and I want to go somewhere else, I don't want to be here. I don't know. It sends an interesting message to the locker room. I'm not saying that players enjoy losing because they don't, but when they come out, I'd rather play somewhere else. I've never heard that with Strome, so good on him. Number 19, a player who went to Anaheim. And I remember when that contract for Radko Gudas was signed, there was a lot of head scratching that was done. Not necessarily by me, though. I kind of saw what they were doing here, and Gudas has been really good for the team. Another player that has been helping them through this rebuild process. And Gudas has earned a lot of respect from me with his veteran leadership for the team. And I know Anaheim enjoys having him there. So the signing of Radko Gudas, which many snubbed their nose at the time, turned out to be a pretty smart move by the Anaheim Ducks. Number 18 on the list. Hampus Lindholm. Okay, so I'm going to quietly retrieve the cap from my marker, which slid over here. You never know, they roll all over. Anyways, so Hampus Lindholm, defenseman, of course, now in Boston. Enjoyed him during his time in Anaheim. Pretty good defenseman, pretty good at both ends of the ice. It's a shame he didn't end up staying in Anaheim, but, it happens. Especially when you're going through rebuilds and such. Number 17, another player who is no longer on the team, but I was definitely outspoken on my fandom of him when he was there, and that's Rickard Rakell. As Pittsburgh fans found out after he got to the Penguins, Rickard Rakell is a solid, good player, good goal scorer, good instincts, and as long as he can stay healthy, 30-plus goal scorer, absolutely. And that storyline started with the Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim did a very good job of helping him become the player that he is now, and so they get credit for that. Number 16 on the board. I know for a lot of Ducks fans, Cogliano might be higher. For me, Andrew Cogliano fits in at 16. A player who was in the midst of a very long consecutive games played streak, which was brought to an end by a suspension, which I don't think anybody liked that suspension. I hated it. I thought it was a terrible idea. But Cogliano's suspension ended up putting a stop to his consecutive games played streak. But Cogliano, very good third liner, and later in his career, a good fourth liner as well. Glue guy, and a player who could do a very good job of supporting some winning teams as well. So Cogliano is my 16th pick. Number 15. And I'm going to say straight out, should have been an honorable mention in my Boston video. Frank Vatrano. There will be those who watch that Boston video who are going to say, I can't believe Frank Vatrano's not in the video. I can't believe I didn't make him an honorable mention. But Frank Vatrano is a player who has always had the talent. I've believed in him the whole way through. And that one magical season in Anaheim, he really realized that potential. And I got to see him score a goal live. So that was fun. Did he have 2 goals in that game? I think he might have had 2 goals in that game, actually. And, I can't say that I inspired him to get those goals, but I can't say I didn't, right? Frank Vatrano's been very good for Anaheim. I'm glad he stuck around there. It's been a mutually beneficial relationship. as he finally got an opportunity to show that he can be a top 6 player, and he did pretty well with that opportunity. Number 14, current player on the team. And so I'm going to say something about the Anaheim Ducks here. They have Mason McTavish's name's going on the board. So it was roughly 6 or 7 years ago that I became very enamored with all of the young players coming into Vancouver, right? Quinn Hughes, Pettersson, Besser, Demko, etc., etc., etc. I am having that same experience with the Ducks. A lot of these young players I like a lot, Mason McTavish included. Would not be surprised if the next time I do this, 5 years down the road, McTavish finds himself in the top 10 or even the top 5. Love his work ethic, and he doesn't make as many mistakes as some of the other young players in the game. I really do. I like Mason McTavish a lot. So, number 14, we'll see if he moves up the next time out. Number 13, another young player I like, who is a current member of the team. So don't be surprised when a lot of the current players, like Lucas Dostal, are on the board. This is a team that it was very, very clear early on in this channel's existence was my least favorite of everybody in the NHL. I couldn't stand the Ducks. If you told me back then that I would have my name on a Ducks anything, that like a jersey, and I've got Ducks jerseys with my name on the back, I would have told you were crazy. I'm like, nah, that's never going to happen. That's a jersey foul. Why would my name be on the back of an NHL jersey? That's crazy. Well, here we are all these years later, and the Ducks are now moving up that list of teams that I like and I root for. And I think Lucas Dostal, as a goaltender, has an extremely bright future. Love the contract that Pat Verbeek signed him to, and so we'll see how things go for him down the road. But yeah, I really do like Lucas Dostal. Number 12. So early on, when the Ducks were wearing the jersey I'm wearing now, Steve Ruchin was a member of the team. I always liked Ruchin as a center. Good overall forward. Played third line, could play second line as well. And so Ruchin, for his work ethic and just his overall play, was one that impressed me anytime I watched the Ducks. So I guess Mighty Ducks at the time, right? So Steve Ruchin, number 12, is a little higher up the last time I did this. Number 11. Another former player who played very early in their existence, and I've met him. I've met Guy Hebert. I've had a picture taken with Guy Hebert. He is a member of the broadcast group, or broadcast crew, I should say, for the Anaheim Ducks. Really nice guy, and excellent goaltender at points in time as well. That first year for Anaheim, he gave them the goaltending that they needed to stay competitive. That first year for Anaheim was overshadowed by what Florida did in their first year. Florida got to the playoffs and went all the way to the final in '96, which was not their first year, but early in their existence. But Anaheim eventually caught up, and Guy Hebert gave them goaltending to keep them in games early on in their existence. So full credit to Guy Hebert on that one. Number 10. Another current young player, but yeah, Leo Carlsson for me is already in the top 10. I am very sold on Leo Carlsson's game. I think he is going to be taking another step this season for the Anaheim Ducks. Really bright future for Leo Carlsson. And so if you're doing fantasy hockey, Leo Carlsson might be one of those guys you can get probably early enough on and might end up being a steal for you. I really do. I like his game. I think the Ducks are going to score more goals this coming season, and I think Leo Carlsson's going to be a big driver of that. Number 9 on the list. Troy Terry. Troy Terry, consistent. His cap hit's pretty nice, and he has some good flexibility to where he's playing in the lineup. I think ultimately when the Ducks are getting better and they become a playoff team, Terry's probably on the second line, but he's been good for them throughout this rebuild. And those players that have been willing to go through all the losing during this rebuild, they understand the process. They still go out there and play their best game like Troy Terry has. Nothing but respect from this guy. Which brings us to number 8 and a now former member of the team, Cam Fowler. I have talked a lot about Cam Fowler over the years. I was glad to see him get an opportunity to go to St. Louis. He played fantastic in St. Louis after that trade. It was time. It was time for him to be moved out of Anaheim. But I wouldn't be surprised if Cam Fowler's numbers retired at some point by the Anaheim Ducks. I think he was a key player for them for a long time. And like I said, it was nice of them to give him an opportunity to go to St. Louis. And we'll see if he spends the rest of his career in St. Louis or if at some point in time he ends up back in Anaheim, maybe towards the end of his career. But we'll see. But Cam Fowler, definitely an excellent defenseman for them for a long time. Number 7, a also now former member of the team. How many years did John Gibson give this team? And one of the things I will credit Gibson for is when the report came out, he was never going to play another game in Anaheim. He wanted out. He was miserable. That was it. He was done. That was finished. He made it clear that was not the case. He refuted those claims, and he played for, another 2 years for the Anaheim Ducks. Now he's off to Detroit. I don't see any reason to believe he won't give Detroit just as solid a goaltending as he's given to Anaheim for many years. And he had a nice bounce-back year this year after a couple down years. So all the best to John Gibson, and I think he'll be remembered as one of the best goaltenders that Anaheim has had. Number 6. Teemu Selanne. Teemu Selanne, of course, famously gets his cup in 2007 with the Anaheim Ducks. Was there for a long time. Still has an association with the Anaheim Ducks. And, he's still got that close relationship with the team as far as everything looks from the outside anyways. And Selanne, one of the best goal scorers of his generation. One of the best players of his generation as well. So Selanne gets number 6 on the list for me. Number 5. No idea where I was going with that. No idea why I did a W instead of an M. It's got to be the hockey guy, right? Or, the entertainment guy. Can't be me. Nah, it's the entertainment guy did it. Scott Niedermayer. It's all the song lists he's been doing. It's just crazy. Scott Niedermayer, excellent defenseman, came over from the New Jersey Devils. As I always say with Niedermayer, we knew that there was potential for more scoring than what he had showed in New Jersey. He got to Anaheim, and absolutely that showed up. And so did the winning. Scott Niedermayer was a winner wherever he played. And once he arrived in Anaheim, it was really a matter of when, not if, they were going to win a Stanley Cup, and they would get there in 2007. Pronger's not on the list, but that duplicate, those two players of Pronger and Niedermayer, yeah, good luck going against that in 07. Number 4 on the list, and the top-rated goaltender on the list, J.S. Giguère. Jean-Sebastien Giguère was an amazing playoff netminder. That he turned his game up in the playoffs, gets them to the Stanley Cup final in 03, wins the Conn Smythe Trophy in a loss, and then in 2007, they win the Stanley Cup. So J.S. Giguère had an amazing career in Anaheim after being Hartford property and Calgary property, but in Anaheim, things went really, really well for him. So, J.S. Giguère, I think 4th is about as low as I could have him. I don't think it'd be a credible list if I had him any lower than 4th. Just personally, that's how I feel about it. 3rd, and a player that I have talked up a lot over the years. Sometimes there's just players you just like right away. And Andy McDonald was one of those players. I liked him. I liked his consistency. I liked his effort. I thought Andy McDonald was a very good forward for an Anaheim team that needed one at the time. And, Andy McDonald, I thought was an underrated player. And so I do understand subscribers to the channel and just hockey fans in general when they say this player is underrated. I get it. I have spent many years watching players who I think are underrated get overlooked. And I feel like at times Andy McDonald was overlooked for the work that he was doing. So he's number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list, and this is one, I'll talk about this again. So when the channel started, there were players I didn't like on the Ducks. I didn't like Corey Perry, who does not appear on this list, because he was never a favorite Duck of mine. But Ryan Getzlaf, I thought it was really mean that on the Ducks broadcast they showed like all the charity work he was doing, all of the things he was doing in the community, what a great guy he was. And once the channel got rolling, Ryan Getzlaf's still playing, and I learned more and more about him, and I was like, well, crap, I like him now. As a Canucks fan, I couldn't stand Ryan Getzlaf. But as I learned more and more about him off the ice, and I watched his leadership with the Ducks, there's nothing that's more painful than losing all that hate as a hockey fan. It's like, well, now where does that hate go? And I don't know. I honestly, I have to say that in the time the channels existed, my hatred for teams and players has dropped tremendously from where it was 10 years ago. I don't know if I appreciate that or not. But there's Ryan Getzlaf at number 2. Number 1. There really wasn't a question, and I did not even give any thought to not having Paul Kariya at number 1. Paul Kariya has been my favorite member of the team for a long time. From Vancouver, and just an excellent player all around. Obviously, his career was a little bit shorter than it should have been. Some scary concussion issues and whatnot, which have been well documented before and after his retirement. But Paul Kariya, when he was healthy, was one of the most creative, exciting players that I've ever watched. So Paul Kariya, for me, is my favorite player in the Anaheim Ducks history. So, yeah, 1 through 20. Number of current players. So I'll go through and count this. And if I miss any, I miss them. Troy So Troy Terry's the highest rated of the current players because Gibson's gone and Fowler left last season. Carlson's here. Dostal, McTavish, Vetrano. And there's Gudas and Strome. So a good number of players on this board are still current members of the Anaheim Ducks. I do think this is a team that you could get behind. If you're looking for a dark horse to make the playoffs, I think the Ducks might be a good one to pick. But at any rate, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. I will talk to you again soon.